just bought a Mazdaspeed 3 and you want to start modifying it, but you have no clue what to do, I'm going to walk you through it, and the goal of this video is going to be making your car as fun and as fast as possible. So first step before you do anything power-wise is you're going to want high-pressure fuel pump internals. Now you can get it from Corksport or Autotech. They're both around 350 bucks. I would buy it new, do not buy it used. After that, you can get a Cobb access port. Get the V3, not the V2. This is what you're going to use to monitor all your levels, like your AFR, your fuel trims, your boost air temp, your coolant temp, just anything you can really think of that you need to monitor, it's going to let you do that. And it's also what you're going to use to load your tune onto your vehicle. If you have the money, I would do access port, high pressure fuel pump, and an intake at the same time. It'll probably run around like 1,100 bucks, but it will be worth it. So if you don't though, I would get the internals first, then the access port, and then the intake. Now for an intake, you can do Cobb, JBR, CPE, HTP. Even if you want to do a Shure intake, you could do that too. For me, if I was to do it all over again, I would get an HTP 3-inch. It's going to be the full intake, so it's going to have the intake and the turbo inlet pipe. Now, if you buy another one, it might only be the intake and you have to buy the turbo inlet pipe separate. Now, if that is the case, what the turbo inlet pipe basically does is going to get you more turbo noise, and it might help your boost come on a little sooner and your spool up time. But coming from experience, I would just get a solid HTP 3-inch intake. Now that's going to get you, when you let off the throttle like that, whoosh sound. It's going to sound like sword slashing, and it's a lot of fun. At any time, you could do a bypass valve, blow-off valve. On these cars, stock tune, they're full recirc, but you don't need a tune to run a blow-off valve. So it's personal preference, really. But for me, I did 50-50 with a Go Fast Bits blow-off valve. So you could do 50% recirc, 50% at the atmosphere, and that was like the sweet spot for me. Once you get the intake, you're going to want to reach out to a tuner who can put a tune on your car for your specific mods. Now, do not run the off-the-shelf Cobb maps because they're junk. I'd recommend FreakTune, that's who I use. You can actually buy an off-the-shelf map from FreakTune, which basically, I know it says off-the-shelf and I just said don't use off-the-shelf, but FreakTune's off-the-shelf maps are going to be tailored to your specific mods on your car. So it's not going to be as dialed in as a full tune would be, but it's going to make sure that your car is running safe, and that's exactly what you want. Now at any power level, you could do a rear motor mount. What it's going to do, it's going to just make your engine just feel more solid. It's going to help put power to the ground and pretty much eliminate wheel hop. Not completely, especially if you're in first gear, but it's definitely going to reduce wheel hop. It'll be more of a wheel spin. Now, passenger motor mount could be optional. It's not necessary. I honestly didn't even have one at 530 wheel horsepower. It just helps plant the power to the ground. Now, I didn't have it in my car because the cabin vibes were unreal. I mean, maybe once you get them broken in 5,000-10,000 miles, it'll be better. But for me, I was like, hell no. I'd rather have my stock passenger motor mount until it blows up. Which, honestly, that has happened. People do have passenger motor mounts that fail. So until I got to that point, I was not going to do it because I did not want the cabin vibes. Now sure, if you want to go full race car, passenger motor mount all the way. Just know, you're going to have a lot of cabin vibes, you might get a headache from it. Now at this point, you can do a downpipe. Now it's going to get you more boost, it's going to help your turbo spool up a little quicker, and it's going to be a lot louder. The downpipe it's my most favorite mod when I had my car. But if you plan on keeping your Caro 4 for a while with a downpipe, if you go catalyst, it's necessary. You're going to want to get a banjo bolt. And it's a restrictor bolt. It restricts the amount of oil that your KO4 gets. If you don't do this mod, you're going to blow the seals in your KO4. It's just a matter of time. So get the banjo restrictor bolt. When you know you're getting your downpipe in and you're getting ready to install it, email your tuner and tell them that you need a new tune. Whether you have to pay for a completely new tune or just a touch-up to add the downpipe. I'm not going to say what they're going to charge you because I don't know. But you're going to need a new tune either way, whether it's just a touch-up revision or if it's a completely new tune. But you're going to want to have the tune ready to go with the base map on your access port before you even turn on the car after you do the downpipe. So make sure you're thinking ahead. When you order the downpipe, I would also order a tune with the downpipe, so you have the base map ready to go when you're ready to turn the car on after installing it. So right now you're probably around like 310 wheel horsepower, and your turbo is pushing like 21 psi, but it's just choking itself. It's basically like a flamethrower after like 21 psi, because it's just pushing hot air and it's bad for your engine. But one way to get your boost air temps down would be a front mount intercooler. So stock Mazdaspeeds come with a top mount intercooler, and that's why you have the hood scoop. It's to help kind of cool down your boost air temps with the hood scoop, but with all the hot air that the engine's making and the top mount intercooler just sitting right on top of the engine, it's going to heat soak after like a couple pulls on a summer day. And so moving it will help get your boost air temps down. And that's what you want. It'll give you a little extra horsepower, and maybe you'll be around like 320 wheel horsepower, which is basically right around where the KO4 kind of maxes out at. Right now you're around like 320 wheel horsepower. It's a lot of fun. It's a great reliable daily. If you're craving more horsepower, what you're going to want to do is you're going to need a turbo swap. Now the three main replacement turbos for this car was BNRS3, CST4, or BNRS4. Now that's in chronological order of like smallest to a little bigger. So the BNRS3 is going to have the quickest spool time out of the three, but it's not going to have as much top end as the other two. The Corksport CST4 turbo is basically like a happy medium. It's going to spool up a little slower than the BNRS3, but a little quicker than the BNRS4, and it's also going to have a lot more top end power than the BNRS3, but not as much as the BNRS4. So you're dealing with top end power and spool time. So Corksport CST4 turbo was the perfect happy in between, and that turbo is friggin' awesome. Like it lights up pretty quick, even though it's journal bearing, and then it just pulls all the way to redline, and then you look up, you're almost to redline. It's like, oh, I guess I got to shift now. But you wouldn't know it because you just want to keep pulling. It doesn't even fall off on its face like the KO4 does. Like after 5,500 RPM, the KO4, it's like, okay, we're going. Oh, it just died. This doesn't do that. It's like, let's go, let's party, and it's all the way to redline. It's so much fun. The BNRS4 is going to be similar to that at top end, but it's going to have a little longer spool time. So it'll spool later than the CST4 and the BNRS3. But that's all personal preference. Choose whatever turbo you want. It doesn't really matter. If you find a good deal on one over the other in the used Facebook Marketplace group, like Mazdaspeed 3 parts for sale, or there's some group that you can find a lot of good deals on. A lot of the times you'll find a turbo and an intake, a boost controller, and maybe a blow-off valve, and you'll be able to find a bundle for a great price. Like I think, what did I pay for my turbo? I think it was like $1,100 to $1,300. I paid $1,150, and I got Corksport CST4 turbo. I got 3.5-inch HTP intake, a Grimspeed EBCS, a Go Fast Bits blow-off valve, and I paid $1,150 for all of that. So guys, the deals are out there. You just gotta look. I'd recommend the Facebook groups, Mazdaspeed 3 buy and sell. You'll find a lot of great deals on that. So that just goes to show you the amount of power you can get on a budget. Now, I wouldn't be too scared of buying a used turbo because I had probably 5,000 miles on mine when I bought it, maybe 10,000. And I mean, it ran perfectly fine. But that's pretty much it. So at that point, you have an upgraded turbo. You're gonna be maxing out the stock fuel system. It's kind of personal preference, and it depends what you're going to be doing with the car after going to be building your engine. You're probably going to want a bigger turbo than the BNRS4 anyway. But if you're going to be doing port injection, then BNRS4, CST4, they're going to be great. These cars, 400 wheel torque is pushing it. For instance, I was going down the rabbit hole of I want to make more power, 400 wheel horsepower, let's get it. And so I did a meth kit, and that was right around like 400 wheel horsepower, 400 wheel torque, and the rods do not like that. After 400 wheel torque, like I'm sure the tuner is going to make sure that the power comes on not at low RPM, because that's going to kill the rods. So it'll be controlled. The power will be up top rather than down low. But 400 wheel torque with meth injection is kind of like a ticking time bomb in my experience. I blew my motor and I didn't even have the meth kit on it for like a few months. So, and I had a failsafe on it. That thing didn't do shit. So if it were me and I was to do it all over again, I would stop around 350 wheel horsepower, because that 350 horsepower, that's a hoot. And it's reliable power. You can daily drive it no problem without any issues. But I'm telling you right now, once you add a meth kit on it, if you don't have E85 around you, then you're gonna start running into problems, and it's basically a ticking time bomb from experience. I mean, if you want an excuse to have to go build motor, sure, slap a meth kit on it, turn it all the way up, and it's a ticking time bomb, honestly. If it were me, 350 wheel horsepower, I think is perfect place to stop at this car and just enjoy it at that point. Get a full tune on it and you'll be happy. I mean, it'll last you, you can have fun with it, it'll be reliable. And I mean, that's the point of this video. Get your car as fast as possible, as fun as possible, and as safe as possible. And it reaches all those things. Your car will be running healthy with that front mount intercooler, and if you do an upgraded turbo, then it'll be a little more powerful, like 350 horsepower, and it'll be a great time. So that's going to wrap up my modification guide for the Mazdaspeed 3 and Mazdaspeed 6. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hopefully this video helped you. Hopefully you learned something out of it. Leave a comment, leave a like, and hit that subscribe button for more content coming every single week. Alright, thank you guys. I'll see you later. Peace.